Good afternoon from Hopalong Hollow. Hetty, Pepper, and I are on the porch here getting ready to make a nice little compact garden structure, which I'm going to show you how to make. It's going to be for your potager or whatever garden you want to make it, to put it in. But since we're working on the potager, I thought this would be a nice ornament, nice structure for you to put in your potager. And the idea that I got came from these hanging baskets that I have. I do use them, but every single year I put plants in them and I kill those plants. I am not good with hanging baskets. So I kept thinking, what can I do with these hanging baskets? And I think I came up with a rather clever idea. So let's go over to the table, show you the tools you're going to need. And this is an easy project. You could do it with your kids. It's not going to cost much money at all. You could do it with grandkids, or you could just do it on your own. It's going to be a very compact bee and insect haven. And I'm going to call it a Hopalong Hollow Haven because, as far as I know, nobody else has come up with this idea. Now, I could be wrong about that, and somebody else may have. But as far as I know, this is an original. So let's get started. Starting with the tools you're going to need, you're going to have a drill with several different size drill bits. Now you're going to want longer drill bits than the ones that I have here because the holes you're going to drill should be about 6 to 8 inches long. I'm just using these short ones because I can't find the long ones. And for purposes of demonstration, this is what I have at the moment. Some sharp, strong scissors and pruners, some wire, and wire cutters. Now the most important thing you need is a wire basket. This is a wire hanging basket form, and you're going to need 2 of these. You can find these in garden centers, you can find these online, you can find these in Walmart. This is a 14-inch one, and I think that's about the smallest size you would want to use. Then you want bits and pieces from nature. So I've gathered a basket here with moss, pine cones. I've got some bits and pieces of logs, I've got old seed pods, and I've got these hardened tree lichens. And here we have some different sizes of bits of wood. You want to get some bamboo, which you can also find in a garden center, many different sizes. These are pretty skinny. I really wanted them wider, but this is all they had. Pots, clay pots, jars, grapevine. This is what an insect would really use in the wild. It's from a hollow perennial weed. We just pulled some of these up and perfect. That's just perfect. Comes in different sizes, obviously. And when I got these, I actually had to dislocate a couple poor little ants that had built a home in there. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know. And also these were self-watering glass tubes, which really never worked, but they will work for insects because they've got that nice long tube right there for them to lay their eggs in. Also, I've got these little discs. I don't know where little round crystal type things. I have no idea where they came from, but I think if I stuff these with moss, perhaps that could be very interesting for some sort of insect. And various pots. I know you can, oh yes, don't forget, this is some sphagnum moss. And then we've got, these were the liners on the baskets that came with wire baskets. So I could probably use these in some manner, maybe for fill-in around all the tubes that we're going to make. So the first thing we're going to do is drill some holes in our logs of different sizes. Now the first thing I've done is I've drilled directly straight into the logs little holes of different sizes. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to do. Clean out those little holes to make them clear of debris and sawdust. And I have cut the bamboo into varying lengths, anywhere from 5 to 8 inches. Now you can either budge your little tubes into pots by securing them with moss and seed pods, etc. or you can wrap them with a rubber band and just stuff them into the jars. Or you just can leave them loose because you're going to be able to use these to fill a lot of spaces when you start building your little structure. Now, I've saved the coconut matting core that came with the hanging baskets, and we're going to be able to incorporate that as well into this project. I'm going to start out by taking my basket and put it on a pot to secure it in place, and I'm going to start by putting a layer of this coconut matting on the bottom, or you can use moss, you can use old grasses. It's going to be my first layer of lasagna, so to speak. And then this is what I'm going to build upon. So in a way, this is a little bit like building a bird's nest. We're starting with our nesting material in the bottom, and we're just going to layer it up, up, up. In fact, I might just call this the Hopalong Hollow Bird-nest Beehaven. Yes, that's what I think I'll call this. Now, trying to be a little artistic here. So I took my log, one of my logs, and I encircled it with these small grapevine wreaths. I think I'm going to take that and I'll put it right in the center of my bird's nest. I took the little crystal spheres, I stuffed them with moss. That's going to be a nice little place for some tiny critter. A nice little shelter. Now you're going to just start arranging all your doodads and your bits and bobs into your basket bottom here. And when you get to the rim, don't worry, you're going to keep going over that rim because the other half of your basket is going to be your other wire basket rim. It's going to turn this to a sphere. This is starting to look rather interesting. Now you might want to use some twine to tie some of your tubes together because you're going to want to squeeze a lot of tubes in here to fill in all the empty spaces. Once you get past the rim, the bottom of the bottom half, you're going to want to wire the top half to it in just one little section so that you can stay within the confines of this space as you continue to build this all the way up to the top. So just wrap a piece of wire around it and secure it, and then you can open and close this as you work. Well, there's one thing for certain, this requires a lot of materials to fill. I've used about 90% of the materials I've gathered, but I've got it pretty packed in here. My husband looked at this and said, "That is really ugly." And I said, well, it is not a flower arrangement. It's meant for the insects, and I think they're going to find it a rather pleasant lodgings because there are so many nooks and crannies in here for the little solitary bees, the solitary wasps, the lace-wing flies, and all the beneficial insects that you are trying to garden. I really like the glass because I think in the sunlight that's going to have a nice reflection. It's just going to glow. I like the moss. I like the clay pots. I think you have to really like this rustic look in order to appreciate something like this. So now that it's finished, what on earth are you going to do with it? Well, you could actually still hang it like a hanging basket, or you could mount it on a post, or you could mount it on any number of things that you have. I have something in particular that I'm going to use. Now, I'm not putting this in the potager because I've got plenty of garden ornamentation in my potager. Don't need any more. So here is the completed project in all its glorious rusticity. I've mounted this on a stand that was meant for a bird feeder or a birdhouse. You could just as easily use any kind of a post. A cedar post would be pretty nice for this kind of object. Would blend right in. And this is in a shade garden on another side of the house, which is not the potager, obviously. This would be great in any garden. If you are a cottage gardener, a country gardener, a rustic gardener, this would fit right in to your landscape. As you can see, it's a pretty interesting conversation piece for anybody walking past. And if you get up close, you can see all these wonderful little streets and alleys and nooks and crannies and wonderful spots and glorious digs for those beneficial insects that you want to attract. Doesn't matter if it gets rained on, it'll just make it better. So if you like this kind of a look, go into the woods, get yourself some bits and pieces of nature, gather up some crocks and bamboo, tubes and straws, and build yourself a Hopalong Hollow Bird-nest Beehaven. And then if you do, let me know. I'd be really interested in seeing what you've come up with. From Hopalong Hollow, this is Jerry.